Hey, folks, welcome to Rogue One Radio. This is episode number 34. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's 34.
34.
Yep, 34. And I am one half of your host team, Steve. With me is Charlie Red 5. And joining us tonight is Nicole. You might know her as Peace, Love, Star Wars.
Of course.
And from the Twitter, and she is going to help us talk about Attack of the Clones tonight. Before we jump into all that, Charlie, how have you been this week? What's been going on?
Oh man, it has been a week. Having some back troubles, so I had to schedule a doctor's appointment for that. And then work has just been out of control this last couple of days. We've had a lot of wind, high wind here, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts and whatnot. And, here in the desert plains, there's nothing to stop it. No trees, no buildings, no nothing. It just blows right through. And that makes internet awfully iffy. When the sun goes down, the wind stops, but it's pretty crazy. And so the afternoon, everything gets bogged down at work, and where's this project? I can't send it to you yet because the internet's not strong enough. I got to go throw a couple more chipmunks onto the wheel and hope for the best. But no, it's been a good week. Did a rewatch of Attack of the Clones. Did a rewatch with our Discord group with WandaVision, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's my week. How's yours?
Awesome. Not too bad. It's been kind of a slow week. I did finish. I finished season 1 of Titans. Have not started on season 2 yet. What else has been? Well, as far as video games, just kind of playing the Fallout. And, haven't really deviated from that too much. As we mentioned last week, I've been ramping up on my comic book reading. So this week I read a story called Justice League, Justice No More. Another one called Year of the Villain Hell Arisen. And The Batman Who Laughs. And all this was in preparation for a DC event that just wrapped up earlier this month that I hadn't gotten to read yet. And I had started to read it, and I was like, what's going on? And a buddy of mine was like, yeah, you got to read all this other stuff before you can understand where they got to where they're at. I'm like, oh, great. So I started reading all that. So I did start on Dark Knight's Death Metal. There are 7 issues, and last night I finished issue number 2. So we will see how that turns out.
Cool.
Nicole, what have you been up to this week?
I don't think she heard you. What have you been up to, Nicole?
Oh, there we go. What have I been up to? Well, last week my article, Travel to Hoth, I published that came out on Twin Suns Outpost last week. Been busy watching Attack of the Clones, having some fun in Discord, with our WandaVision watch party. That's always fun. Also been reading The Light of the Jedi as well. So it's been a slow week, but it's been filled with plenty of other productivity. So
that's a good one. Light of the Jedi is good.
Are you enjoying Light of the Jedi?
Oh, I'm enjoying it. I'm not completely finished yet, but I'm getting there. But I've been really enjoying it.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, Light of the Jedi was good. I wrote a review for of it, among other things, for Future of the Force.
Very cool.
But yeah, I started reading that pretty much the day it came out, and I'm really looking forward to the next one that comes out A week from
Fun,
today,
right?
actually. Yeah, a week from today that comes out. Hey, RFB is with us. Welcome. Good to see you again. So if you haven't guessed already, we are continuing our Skywalker Saga retrospective, and tonight we will be taking on Attack of the Clones. So we'll do that later in the show.
Yeah.
Even later in the show, we've got our top 5 list, which should be interesting. We're going to talk about our top 5 Sith Lords. It wasn't a huge, abundant news week, but we do have a few things to discuss that we're going to go over. So there's that. But before we jump into the news, which is up next, we are going to take our first music break. And this first song, the song is actually called Star Wars. I found it interesting that this band that I had been talking to about getting one of their songs played on the podcast. I ran across one of their albums and they had a song called Star Wars. So I was like, we've got to play that. So this song came out on an album called Words I Had back in June of 2019. And the band, you're going to love this, is called Bathroom of the Future. So let's start things off with that. And where's it at? Oh, there we go.
Well, I hope it didn't hide in the bathroom.
Here we go, folks.
I guess it's just what humans do.
All right. That was Bathroom of the Future with Star Wars.
Interesting name.
Interesting name, yeah. Those guys are from Michigan.
Cool.
And yeah, so that was our first music break. You are listening to Rogue One Radio. Welcome to Greg and RFB in the chat room. We are part of the Red 5 network, if you didn't already know that. And see, RFB says, go look up a Star Wars band called Twin Sister.
Twin Sister.
Hopefully
it's not related to Twisted Sister. That could be quite fun, though.
I get the
around the cast.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out if they've done anything in the last few years. All right, so next up is our news segment. Like I said, we don't have an abundancy of news today, but we do have some interesting stuff that popped up, just not a lot of it. First piece of news is comic book related. So back in the 90s, Marvel Comics did this huge, I say it's a crossover event, but really it was like almost like a reboot called Heroes Reborn. And essentially it was in the kind of the aftermath of an event called the Onslaught event. And all of the heroes basically, it was just a reboot, and it was a way for Marvel to, I don't know, kind of reboot their universe and get new readers involved in the in the main books, and try to get more people into it. So yeah, that was late 90s, and so Marvel's announced that they are going to do something similar. As far as I know, it's still called Heroes Reborn. There's a trailer out there on YouTube for it, which I read that, or I saw that earlier this week, and it looked pretty interesting. It didn't really give us a whole lot of information, but much like the original, it's meant to be a kind of a fresh starting off point for Marvel fans. Try to help kind of streamline the continuity. I'm really not sure why they would go back and do this, because the original project didn't really work out that well and only ended up lasting like a year. But it will be interesting to see what they have in mind. And where they're going with that. I mean, personally, I read more DC than I do Marvel. But I still do read some Marvel from time to time. Of course, I think almost all of the Marvel that I'm reading now is all the Star Wars. I don't really read much outside of that. I was reading the what was the name of that event that just happened a few months ago?
The DC one?
No, it was a Marvel one. Empire. It was okay. Nothing to write home about. Also joining us just now is Cam Ray. Welcome to the chat, sir. Glad to have you.
Hey, Cam.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that they're starting this the comic version of this, because they've done one similar, and I think this is kind of where they were going with it on Disney Plus with Wanda and Vision. And I can't remember what the name of it was, but when you log into Disney Plus and you go to the Marvel, it's one of the subsections in there, and it was a show, and it has different episodes. And one of them's Wanda, gives you a little backstory on her, some of her abilities, things like that. From, I believe it even goes into the comics as well as away from the movies. And then there's one for Vision. And that got a lot of views, surprisingly, from what I read. So maybe
It's-
they're trying to do something like that with the comic side of things as well. If it worked for Disney Plus, let's see if it works for the comics.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's called Legacy, the show you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
Legacy. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
It's really good, actually. I expect that they're probably going to do that all the way through because I think they're connecting all the Marvel movies series leading up to the big movie. So,
Yeah.
So just real quick, also joining us just now is Mr. Rez. Welcome to the party.
Mr. Rez, you are a treasure. Thank you very much for that awesome post that you did earlier today. Much respect, sir. Thank you very much. So to continue with the news, and Nicole, good thing you're sitting down because according to the Hollywood Reporter, HBO Max is in talks with several potential writers to bring the Harry Potter series to HBO Max. New somethings, don't really know much about it other than they want to bring that over. So more possible stories from the Harry Potter universe. And I, for one, am beyond excited. Well, let's see. I can see. Wait. Dark Mark. Deathly Hollows. I'm definitely a Harry Potter fan. Just like I am with Star Wars, any Star Wars story is a good story. I'm excited for what the future could bring in as far as more Harry Potter stories.
Mm-hmm.
But very limited information. It's new.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. It's one of those that, you see how long it took for us to get Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we still don't have it. So I'm curious, and we really haven't heard anything from J.K. Rowling herself on this. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I'll believe it when it happens or when the official things. Although what I'm really excited, because this was official yesterday, was Hogwarts Legacy will be coming, and that's I'm sure you're getting there, but I'm excited about that for the game systems. Because that is happening. That's official.
I'm excited for that as well. I don't know. If they take her, it's not her stories. It's different writers. She just has to pass off, yes, do it, or you could do it. Very similar with, like the Fantastic Beasts series. She didn't write it. She wrote part of it, in her original books, but she had to give her okay and go ahead, and she was available to help them with anything that they needed help with. I'm excited for it. I'm hopeful for it. Yes, it's very new news, so we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. That's good news for Harry Potter fans out there.
What else you got, Steve?
Well, we've got an update regarding the Andor show. Now, this might seem like bad news, but I try to look at the silver lining in things. So the announcement was Alan Tudyk announced that he is not going to be in the first season of Andor. Mm-hmm. So that's a little disappointing that we won't get to see K2SO in the first season. But by him specifically saying he's not in the first season,
it's a clue.
That is, that leads me to believe that unlike the Obi-Wan show, which is only going to be one season, it looks like they are planning for multiple seasons. And that has been confirmed. I actually read an article about this on Star Wars News Net, and it does say he does he does say, I'm not in it, but I'll eventually be there. So it looks like we are getting multiple seasons of Andor, which I'm pretty happy about. Really excited about that show. So, as I said, a little bit of bad news that we're not going to get to see K2SO in the first season, but good news that there is potentially going to be more than one season.
I just want to see them. You want a fresh one? That's just give me that on a loop and I'll be happy.
Yeah. So you've got some more stuff.
I do, and this is also Star Wars related. And let's just say the fans have spoken and the Star Wars gods have listened, because in development, Knights of the Old Republic games, yet again, don't know much about it. Everything I've seen so far has said it's not EA, it's not BioWare, so it's going to be a new company, and this company is a company you're not going to expect. My first thought was Rockstar, but that's a pretty big developer, so I don't know if I would, we get that. We talked about that last week about if Rockstar would develop a game. That would be amazing to get a game from them, a Star Wars game that would be more like an open world Knights of the Old Republic game. But yeah, when I saw it, oh man, my heart skipped a beat, because those are two of my favorite games of all time. And I cannot wait to see more news come out about this. So excited.
Yeah.
Do you think it might come underneath the header of Lucasfilm games, since they announced that they're going to be bringing that back?
Is. Yes, it will be under Lucasfilm Games. Every Star Wars game from now on will be under that banner, regardless of who makes it, whether it's EA or another company. It will be produced by Lucasfilm Games.
Sweet.
Very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. So I did notice a piece of news that I'm sure you probably have on your radar. And it basically goes, it's about the game that you were mentioning that you were playing.
Yeah. Not a huge piece of news, but the Fallout 76 has released a new update. I have not played since the update, so I think the update actually just happened today. So I haven't got on there and checked it out. But from what I have read, it's the article that came from where did I get it from? GameSpot. Says that it is a big one, and it's available on all platforms. So PlayStation, PC, Xbox, all those. The biggest change is that your stash limit has increased to 1,200 pounds. So, they say that is the main change, but when I look at the changes that are going on in this update, the next one is really the one that makes seems like a bigger game changer to me, is that they're reformatting the inventory tabs, making it easier to organize your gear and figure out where everything goes. And then you can like right now, all your stuff is basically under one tab, and you've got to go through these like sub tabs. So it's going to make it a little bit easier to view your inventory. And then there's a few others. They're adding some new interface updates to the Atomic Shop and to vending machines and whatnot. And They're also making some updates to the daily op mission. So if you are a player of Fallout 76, you will understand what I'm talking about, and if you don't, you will have no idea what I'm getting at. But yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with Fallout in general, and Fallout 76 is pretty much my go-to game. But yeah, they do an update. I don't know, probably once every quarter, I think. So we've actually been expecting this one for a while, and they finally decided to release it. And yeah, so there you have it, another Fallout update.
Awesome.
And well, I think you've got something else going on too. You've got you've got some news regarding comic books, I think, or possibly Disney Plus.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of a combination of both. That they announced that there's going to be a new series on Disney Plus, and it's called Marvel Behind the Mask. And it's from the synopsis. It says it's since the very inception of comic books, secret identities have been an integral part of both superhero and villains leading normal lives. But it's the characters beneath that resonate with us across generations of fans. And since the advent of Marvel Comics in the early '60s, the writers and the artists have used the notion of identities to examine the evolving concept of equal rights. These legendary Marvel creations and stories have not only reflected the world outside our window, they have become a reflection for our own identities and who we truly are. Marvel's Behind the Mask will feature guests from across Marvel's 80-year legacy, including the writers and artists behind the rise of characters like Black Panther, Miles Morales, Miss Marvel, Luke Cage, the X-Men, Captain Marvel, and many other characters in the Marvel Universe, highlighting Marvel's impact on pop culture and the media. So that was from their official press release, but it really seems interesting that you get this this close-up look of some of our favorite characters, and not only are you just going to get like maybe a history lesson, you're going to see what it meant from the creators and the people that drew them, what it meant to them to bring these characters forward and how it impacted them and pop culture, which I think is really cool. I can't wait to see all of them, really. I'm a big superhero fan of any shape, form, or size. So yeah, bring it on. Let's see it, and it's on Disney Plus, so you can watch it many times.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I believe that is all that we had for news. Nicole, was there anything I missed that you may have come across over the week?
I think you gentlemen have covered the bases from rumors to facts, and I think we're good. I think we are ready for the next part.
Well, next up, we will be talking about Attack of the Clones, the episode 2 in the Skywalker Saga. But of course, before we jump into that, we have got another music break. And this one, let's see what I have next in the where did I put it? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so this one is by a band out of Boston called Kid Gulliver. This was a single released last June. And it's called I Want to Be a Pop Star. So let's see what you folks think about this one. This was a pretty good one.
town to buy the clothes they wear, so I can look at myself and see them there. I wanna be a pop star. I wanna be a pop star. Oh yeah. I hear the interviews for things they said. I try to analyze their twisted heads. Their pretty faces hang above my bed. I wonder why so many wind up dead. I wanna be a pop star. I wanna be a pop star. Oh yeah. Cut my hair and change my clothes and make me over till I'm top dead gorgeous. Make that clever lies to tell the fans about my sexuality. Lies. I wanna be a pop star. I wanna be a pop star. Oh yeah. I wanna be a pop star. I wanna be a pop star. Oh yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, that was Kid Gulliver with "I Want to Be a Pop Star."
That was interesting. I was not expecting that voice.
Yeah,
It was definitely on the softer side. I almost expected something a little more angsty for a a rock or punk sound.
yeah.
Especially with the title being, I want to be a pop star. It just it was cool, but not necessarily what I expected.
Yeah, I liked it. I heard from, like I was telling you earlier before we went on, these labels send me stuff, and they sent me something of theirs that actually isn't released yet, but it's just kind of announcing it. And they're doing a cover of the song "Beauty School Dropout."
Oh, cool.
So I saw that and I was like, well, that's interesting, but you don't have it and I can't play it. So I'll just play something else of theirs if that's all right with you. And they're like, yeah, cool. So so fun stuff. We got some more music coming up later. Did I tell you that we found a new drummer, by the way?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. How's that working out?
Okay. Yeah, it's working out really good. It's very solid, very consistent. Not afraid to give his input, which is great. Already helping us in the songwriting department. So we should have some new stuff coming out here in the next couple of months, hopefully.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that. We are kind of on a prolific writing binge right now. Got a lot of stuff that we're working on.
I'll tell you what, if the crowds ever get too big and too unruly, just send me out to sing, and that will definitely get the fans to leave in droves. So,
well, yeah, we haven't done very many shows in the past year. I could probably count on one hand how many shows we played in 2020. Off the top of my head, I can think of 4.
Wow.
Yeah, we have not played since November, and yeah, but
I think Nicole wants to be in the band too.
does she?
There you go.
You could be our kazoo player.
I'll get up there. Play, I'll sing, I'll dance, whatever.
There you go.
Awesome.
Fun stuff.
All right. So our
All
main
right.
topic.
It is that time. Attack of the Clones.
Absolutely.
Kick it off for us there, Shirley.
All right. Let me get my radio announcer voice going here. There is unrest in the Galactic Senate. Several thousand solar systems have declared their intentions to leave the Republic. This separatist movement, under the leadership of the mysterious Count Dooku, has made it difficult for the limited number of Jedi Knights to maintain peace and order in the galaxy. Senator Amidala, the former Queen of Naboo, is returning to the Galactic Senate to vote on the crucial issue of creating an army of the Republic to assist the overwhelmed Jedi. And there's your opening crawl.
All right. So we're kind of I guess we're going with kind of the same format we did last time, and just kind of discuss our overall thoughts. And let's let our guest start things off. Just overall thoughts on the movie.
Oh, okay. So I think my overall thoughts have changed. I think since we've seen The Mandalorian season 2, I think when I watch it now, I look at it and I view it differently than I did before. Most notably with Boba, because I'm like, ooh, hey, maybe I'll get a few more Easter eggs than I did before. Overall, I mean, is it my favorite Star Wars movie? Well, not really, but it definitely comes with some good lessons and some good things that bring lots of content and lots of what we need for Star Wars too. So overall, I mean, it's a good movie. It's not my favorite, but
yeah. Kind of the same. I mean, it's not horrible. It's a Star Wars movie, so it's good in that we got more Star Wars. As far as whether or not it's a favorite, absolutely not. In fact, I want to say it was actually the very first episode of Rogue One Radio. That was either November or September or December of 2019. We had not started our top 5 list yet. On that episode, we actually did a ranking of all the films that had come out at that time. At that time, Rise of Skywalker had not come out. So we were working up through Last Jedi, and out of the 11, I'm sorry, not the 11. Out of the 10 that were out at that time, Attack of the Clones was number 9 in my ranking. So definitely not a favorite. But yeah, like Greg said there, it's Star Wars, so I can't hate it. Just doesn't make the fave list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But has your mind changed towards it since The Mandalorian season 2 came out? Just curious from both of you. Because like I said, like me, I'm like going, oh, it's changed my mind just a little bit.
Not so much.
Not so much.
I mean, you're referring specifically to Boba Fett, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. And who else knows what will come from that now? Yeah,
I mean, it didn't really change my opinion of Boba Fett because I've always liked Boba Fett. And the fact that we did get to see him in Mandalorian season 2 was quite the fans' moment. And to see the actor that played Jango play Boba was just perfect.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with that. So yeah. So Boba and Mandalorian 2 was awesome. I loved it. Didn't really change my mind about Attack of the Clones all that much.
Okay. Just curious.
I'm in the same category. I'll even include the out of all 11, it's still number 11.
Wow.
I did not like
So much love there.
I mean, it's Star Wars. I love it, but if I had, and I've grown to appreciate some aspects of it from when it first came out till now. But there's so many glaring things in this movie that just I audibly groan when I see certain scenes, and I'm like, oh, come on, really?
Let's save that for the likes and dislikes section.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. It's a Star Wars. It keeps the story moving. It gives you a little bit of backstory. Whether or not it makes it, even after seeing it, I couldn't really stand Boba Fett until I saw him in Mandalorian season 2, because I mean, when you have 10 minutes on screen out of 3 movies almost, you're not going to get much. And we didn't see much even when he was younger. Didn't see much in Empire, and Return of the Jedi, he got beat by a blind guy with a boat paddle. So just was not impressed until I saw him in Mandalorian. So
all right.
I know, I'm despicable. But
so we've got 2 more newcomers to the chat.
Yeah.
Apprentice Ewok has joined us, and Vader's girl.
Hey, Kat.
Yeah.
So, Kat, welcome, and Ewok, welcome. So we're talking about Attack of the Clones. So it's your least favorite of all 11.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty low on my list, but there's still one that I like less than that one. So interesting.
I'm afraid to ask what your bottom one is.
One we talked about last week.
Oh, okay.
Strangely, Phantom Menace is actually lower on my list than this one. And it's been over a year. I don't remember why I put it that way. I'll have to think about it as we're discussing this, because obviously there was something I liked better about Attack of the Clones than Phantom Menace. It's for the life of me, it escapes my mind, because there was a lot of things wrong with Attack of the Clones. Charlie, you want to give us a brief plot synopsis?
Sure, absolutely. All right.
Out there that have never seen this movie.
So, general plot synopsis: we open up with an assassination attempt part 1, I will call it. And after that doesn't necessarily go as planned. We get a reunion of sorts, a reunited apart, as Josh Gad would say it. It is 10 years since some of these characters have seen each other. Padme is no longer the queen. She is a senator, and Anakin has been taken under the wing of Obi-Wan and is a borderline Jedi Padawan learner kind of thing there. And then we get to Assassination Part 2, and that one doesn't work either. They kind of get a little more information, and the senator is still in danger, but they need them to go figure out who's trying to kill her. So they split up, and they decide that for some and I'm not sure exactly. I guess we'll get into this later, but the Jedi decide who's going to go in which direction. and Obi-Wan goes to seek out who's responsible, and Anakin is responsible for her protection, and they go back to Naboo. Jar Jar becomes a tool. It's a fact. It's a fact.
He's not wrong.
and Obi-Wan
basically creates the Empire.
He's a tool. Yeah, take it how you want to. The plot thickens on Camino, where Obi-Wan finds out some interesting facts. That not only are they cloners and they were mysteriously missing, but the order is almost complete. And Obi-Wan, for a Jedi, seems to lie pretty well and says, yeah, he's there to see their order, and goes and sees all these people. We learn that Sifo Dyas is the one who placed the order, but wasn't he supposed to be dead by this point? Anyway, so we flash over to Naboo, and we get a whole ton of awkward flirting, and mentions about likes and dislikes and how evil Sand is. Of course, we end up back on Tatooine, where Anakin has had a dream about his mother, and he goes to find out what's going on. Gets filled in that, oops, the Tusken Raiders have found it. I label this section the fall of Anakin one brick at a time. He hasn't quite done it yet, but he definitely gives in to the dark side and slaughters the entire village. And then Obi-Wan ends up going to Geonosis and gets in trouble. Anakin and Padme find out that he is there and go to help him. And after a few little battle things that we have there, looks like it's doomsday for our heroes. And then Mace Windu shows up and basically falls flat on his face and does not save the day. But luckily Yoda is there and bails him out. So awesome. Yay. The Yoda brings in the clone troops, and they pretty much start wiping the floor with all the Droid Federation people. And Anakin and Obi-Wan rush off to go face Dooku. I'd label this section of life and limb because Obi-Wan almost loses his life and Anakin lost a limb. And it is Yoda to the rescue again. This is twice in the same movie that they had to be bailed out by the little green hero.
Yes.
Which was amazing. I loved seeing it, but so you think that ends the movie, everything seems to be all happy dory, and you get Anakin and Padme married, and that segues into the start of the Clone Wars, which is a great watch. If you haven't watched it already, go to Disney Plus and watch the Clone Wars. You're in for a treat. Yeah, so that is a quick plot synopsis of Attack of the Clones, as thoroughly as I could get it and amusing as I could get it. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm you're giving the synopsis, and I'm sitting here thinking, so why was this one not last? I honestly don't remember why I didn't put this one last. Only thing I can think of is because it had Django in it. Django was pretty cool, and Slave One was pretty cool, and we got to see the awesome seismic charges.
Yeah. I, the
Um,
the Jedi full that are in the little theater area, that was cool scene to see. Get to see more of Coruscant was pretty interesting. Um, it's
oh,
yeah.
I,
So
I hmm. Let me think of this. I think I remember why it was not last. Uh, and it was very simple. It's because it did not have Jake Lloyd in it.
okay, all right. I thought maybe it was because of the death stick scene, but okay. I'm going to go home and rethink my life.
Yeah, you should go home and rethink your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's parts of it that I absolutely loved, and then there's parts of it that I absolutely don't, and I just yeah.
So if Joey were in on this with us, he would totally be on your side. It is absolutely his least favorite Star Wars movie. He's just not a fan at all. And Nicole
Right.
Joey is my son. He was doing this show with us for a while, and then he got a job because he's 16 and he has another life now. So he doesn't do this with us. Let's see. What do we got next? Well, we got to do some character highlights. Is that what we've got next?
Yep.
Okay. Who should we start off with?
Well, the first character that I thought of, and I tried to put it in almost a order of importance when I made the list that I shared with you guys, and I mean, you guys can agree with the list or the order or whatnot, but I had Mace. Now, if somebody else wants to talk about somebody else first, that's fine. Just let me know, and I can switch gears.
No, we can just go with your list. We can just go with your list.
Yeah.
All right.
Punch it.
All right. So Mace Windu, the acclaimed Jedi that seems to be second to just Yoda, if not the main leader of the Jedi Order. Seems rather pompous and confident, almost to an exalted extent, and yet he had to get bailed out. I just kind of find, yeah, he had a great fight scene. I thought it was pretty interesting that another backpack failure led to the demise of a Fett. But other than that, I mean, Mace was losing the battle, and if it wasn't for Yoda coming in, and saving the day, who knows? Maybe Mace would have only been in one movie.
Well, we
but
saw
I
him
just thought
in this.
Oh yeah, I guess he was in there briefly. But it just for someone that is supposed to hold the ideals of a Jedi, he just seems really confident and exalted over the others. And I don't know if that's just because he is supposed to be the chief Jedi or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. What do you guys think of Mace?
Well, I'll probably get ostracized for this, but when I first heard that Samuel L. Jackson was going to be a Jedi in the series, I was pretty excited. But up until the Clone Wars TV series, he was really a weak character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less weak in Revenge of the Sith, but definitely episode 1 and 2, he was just a weak character that seemed almost unnecessary. He barely moved anything along to me.
Yeah.
up
I can see
until
that.
episode 3. I mean, he had some stuff, some pretty important stuff going on in episode 3, but 1 and 2, nah, he didn't do anything for me.
What do you think, Nicole?
Oh, you know me. I like those underrated characters. I like Mace, and I think the confidence and the pompous, I think that is actually brought on from the actor, from Samuel L. Jackson. I think he probably put that into Mace, whether it was wrote in or not, because I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, I mean, it's Samuel L. Jackson. He's awesome, and kicks butt. So I think that's where that confidence, I think he boosts it a little bit for Mace. And of course, in my heart, I always look back at that one celebration where he said, we never did see the body pass. So till that time, I will always have a little hope that my Mace might be still alive for whatever reason and hiding out. Who knows? Maybe he was the one who got Grogu out. We don't know. So, I mean, I like Mace. Again, maybe it's just me because I love Samuel L. Jackson. I see something else there that I don't know. I mean, that he's just to me a really good, strong character that brings something into play that maybe another Jedi didn't. Of course, now my brain's been changing with the Jedi because I'm just like, well, the Light of the Jedi is kind of bringing in this whole new, the prequel to all this. So now I'm just like, okay, now how does it run down? Now I'm curious as to what Mace's origin story is. That would be really cool to know, like more details. So that's just.
Well, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's amazing. I mean, he's a perfect fit for Nick Fury.
He is.
I had such high expectations for him in Star Wars. Here's the thing. I don't blame him for Mace being a weak character. I blame the writers. I don't think he was written very well.
Yeah, I agree. Great potential. We just don't really see it on screen. And maybe there were some other scenes that were filmed or some other backstory that they knew about that we're not privy to. Because how are they ranked as far as the Jedi Council? Is it like Arthur's Round Table where everyone's an equal, or is there a true leader? And Mace seems to be in that leadership position where, he tells, you go here and you go there. Don't forget if Anakin is the chosen one, he's supposed to bring balance to the Force and, other things that, that he does. But he always seems to storm off into battle first without really we see that in Revenge of the Sith as well. And we'll get to that, I'm sure, next week. But even in this one, he takes, some Jedi, I think it was 200 Jedi that he brought in. He lost 160 of them. There were 40 left by the end. And how many thousands of enemies were there on Geonosis? Almost insurmountable odds. So he's just seems like he's just that, fight first and we'll sort it out afterwards. And I don't know.
Well, that's not to say that I would not be happy to see him return in some fashion, because somebody in the Disney team is going to pick a good writer, and hopefully we'll get maybe some backstory about him.
Yeah.
Overall a better fleshed out story. It does a little justice,
Greg in the chat said that too, that he'd definitely like to see a Mace series, that he feels his story needs to be told better. His story on the movie seems to leave a lot out. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So another character that we have, Yoda.
Yeah. Another one we got introduced to in Phantom Menace. Introduced in Empire Strikes Back, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. To me, the Yoda in Attack of the Clones, it was the closest to Empire that we saw, with a little bonus. He was engaging. He was playful. Lost a planet Obi-Wan has. It's the way that, and you even see this. Well, I don't want to spoil it if Nicole hasn't gotten that. Have you got to the Yoda part in Light of the Jedi?
I don't think so. He keeps being talked about, but I've yet to get there and be like, okay. Yes, Yoda. Because
all right.
That's me. I'll be the one jumping up and down when I get to a huge Yoda part.
So, how we see Yoda react with the Padawans in Attack of the Clones is not a one-time event. You'll love the way that he interacts in the books, and that's all I'll say about that part. But we get to see him. He's wise, he's endearing, and then we get to see the other side of him. And I know a lot of people did not like the fight scene with Dooku.
That scene. Sorry.
I thought it was great. Maybe a little too grandiose, with all the flipping and the jumping and the sounds that are in there. I think that's just more of an editing thing. But I love seeing how powerful he is. Yeah. And it even goes back to another comment that they made. That if you were something about the lightsaber, as good as Yoda and the lightsaber, you'd rival, or as good on the lightsaber, you'd rival Master Yoda. And he's like, I thought I already did. And and so I just I thought that was awesome to see, and the fact that he always shows up right at the right time to save the day was absolutely amazing. One of the highlights of the whole movie was Yoda in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love I love the fact that we got to see him fight for the first time. It was great. I really liked the interaction that you mentioned with his students when they were in the temple and Obi-Wan came to help them find Kamino. Yeah, I really liked how he was portrayed in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I love Yoda. I remember being so excited when he got to that fight scene and took on Dooku. I remember being in the theater just cheering him on. Didn't care if anybody else was listening, but I was cheering him on, and I was very excited. And I love that Yoda he's just wise, and I can't tell I love Yoda. So he's just amazing. And I love that in the Attack of the Clones. That's one of my favorite things about Attack of the Clones is Yoda. I love the fact that he does have an awesome fight scene. I'm so glad that we get to see him being wise. And I'm so glad that they went more back to the Empire Strikes Back type of Yoda versus in the Phantom Menace, And I think if I'm correct, that has to do with something with the puppeteering and stuff. So yes, love Yoda. I don't know anybody else in the chat room there loves Yoda, but if you do, give us a reason why. I'd love to hear it. So,
yeah. Yoda's great.
So next on my list, I had Obi-Wan.
Okay. So
I know I said order of importance or something like that, and now we're kind of getting to
we lost Nicole.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Well, hopefully she will come back with us.
Yeah. All right. So
as far as Obi-Wan, man. As far as movie Jedi go, she's back. She's back with us.
I'm back. Sorry.
Hooray. She was so excited about Yoda. The chat just collapsed.
It was the Force that just wheeled me out of it. I'm sorry.
I guess that's what it was. What I was saying is, as far as the Jedi that are in the movies, Obi-Wan is certainly one of my favorites.
Yes.
And while I didn't care as much for him in The Phantom Menace, I really liked him in this one. I thought he was portrayed very well. I thought Ewan McGregor did a great job, kind of channeling his inner Alec Guinness. But yeah, we just got a different look at Obi-Wan in this film than we did in the previous one, and I mean, a lot of that has to do obviously with the fact that by this time he has matured, because we're talking 10 years. So yeah, I everything about Obi-Wan in this film I liked. Like you mentioned earlier, when he went to Camino and he just kicked on that lie that like it wouldn't be something you think that he could do, and it's like, oh, okay, well, he's not as morally upstanding as you would think, but he had a reason for what he was doing, and he's one of my favorite Jedi, and he's certainly one of my favorite parts about this movie.
Nicole, what did you think about Obi-Wan in this one?
Oh, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I can't wait for eventually when we get that series. I like, he's an awesome Jedi, and he brings so much to his character. I mean, well, Ewan McGregor brings a lot to his character, and I think it's really good that we see a lot of interaction between him and Hayden Christensen, as Anakin, and I like him. He's awesome, and you can see where he's building. Like in the next one, which is really awesome that we're going to get another series with him, because then we get to continue to see this character development of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's I really liked his instructional method. I like the way that he just his and Anakin's relationship, you could tell, is well formed. The banter on the speeder, whether it's just them going back and forth about who saved who. When they get to the bar and they're looking for the assassin, and he tells Anakin, hey, be careful. And he's like, well, where are you going? Well, I'm going to go grab a drink, and I just like, oh, that's awesome. And it has a little, mind trick of, you don't want to sell me death sticks. I thought that was cool. His Geonosis spot was right on. And then it sort of goes downhill from there for me. The witty banter on when they're chained up, to me, falls flat, and then you have the fight scene, and we'll get more into this next week, but he's supposed to be this great fighter, great Jedi, and he ends up on the floor within the first few minutes, crumpled. And it's a foreshadowing of what we see in Revenge of the Sith, when, again, it's supposed to be this awesome fighter. After a couple of exchanges, he's below a catwalk, knocked out. And I'm like, come on, and so he starts off strong, but doesn't quite get there, for me. And, I don't know if that is something, maybe it's a dark side presence that kind of clouds him, because all of this is going on with Sidious and Dooku, who we find out is Lord Tyrannus, and is part of the Sith now, and maybe that inhibits part of his instincts or his intuition or Jedi abilities or whatever you want to call it. but it seemed whenever there's a strong presence like that, he seems to falter a little bit. So, but yeah, as far as the character, I thought it was very well done.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
what do you guys think of Padme in this movie, Nicole?
I personally, I love Padme. Padme is definitely one of my favorite female characters in Star Wars. I know it's when you see the love scenes and the awkwardness. Yes, I get it, gentlemen. But then again, when you take it out of context and realize that this is like their first like real love, like hello, it's going to be a little awkward. But I like Padme, and I think my like for her has kind of grown over time because of Queen Shadow and Queen Pearl. Because now I've kind of gotten to know Padme more. And when it comes to Attack of the Clones, I do like some of those awkward moments. But that's the reason why I like it, because when you go back to your first time, your first, anything in any relationships, it's like you have that awkward moment. And a lot of people don't like it, but I'm like going, but wasn't it awkward for you the first time? Didn't you just have that moment of, well, how's this going to work? And even though a part of me wonders with Padme, if we, and I'm going to jump ahead to Sidious, Palpatine here a little bit, but sometimes it makes me wonder if something else happened in the first movie that we didn't fully see that maybe led to this movie into the next, because it's just interesting that she does end up with Anakin, and I kind of wonder if she was being puppeteered a little bit, to get them to that point. Kind of like in WandaVision, what they're doing now, like, oh, there's somebody else behind the curtain there, pulling the strings to get them there, because this is really setting up for Luke and Leia. So it does make me wonder. But I like Padme. She's awesome. She's an awesome senator, and I think she brings a lot to the table for the strong female characters in Star Wars.
Steve?
I like Padme, but not because of this movie.
Okay.
I don't think she got really strong and fleshed out until we got to the Clone Wars. Because up to this point, we're really just getting kind of the, in Phantom Menace, we got her as the queen. There was a few moments where we got a little bit of her strength. Up until Geonosis, we didn't really get a strong idea of her inner strength in this one. But really, for the whole prequel trilogy, I just feel like we were lacking a lot of her story, and it was, that could just be me, but we're another one of those high expectation things, because we're talking about Luke and Leia's mom, and you wait all this time to find out who this person is, and it just kind of it's just kind of there. You don't really get what you were expecting.
Okay. Yeah.
There were bits and pieces that, especially at the beginning, where you got some good insight into her, but overall, as a film, it didn't really help her character along very much.
I can see that. I started to see her strength at the very opening scene when she comes down off of the star pilot or the starfighter, and she's in the flight suit. I'm like, that's not a comfortable ride. It's not something that is, something that a senator normally would ride in. So she's got a little bit of grit to her already. She's come a long way from Phantom Menace. Yes, it's 10 years have passed. But I liked seeing that her character's already starting to evolve. I didn't necessarily like their interaction when they first meet back up. Oh, Annie, you'll always be that little boy on Tatooine. I don't know, just something about that just was kind of it came across weird. I just got an odd vibe from that, and it was just really, really awkward. And not because he was so excited to see her, but just the way it was delivered. That line just was like, all right, that was kind of McClunky. So I don't know.
That line probably could have been left out.
I agree with Nicole on the awkwardness. I had no problem with her awkwardness. It was Anakin's that was kind of I don't know, just seemed emo boy bandish kind of, just I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it.
But
And
it's first love kind of awkwardness. It's that first, all those firsts.
I guess. But then when they head to Tatooine and she takes charge, she's the one who says, "Hey, you're supposed to protect me. I'm going here. You're going with me." And then the Geonosis, and to see her strength as she starts to fight was really cool. And then you get to the worst part of the movie. The absolute worst part of she has the worst scene in all cinematic history to me. Right after that, when she gets knocked off the gunship and falls to the sand. And then they flash to another scene, they come back to her, and she pops up like nothing happened. All right, well, let's go over here. And I'm like, you just fell from a gunship you just were blasted. You fell and rolled, and you're gonna get up like nothing happened, and they went this way, and you go. It just was like, I don't know. So I liked her, but she also, to me, had the worst absolute scene in Star Wars, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate mail for that one, but that's okay. I'll refer you to the office of the former emperor, and you'll be dealt with. So
we do accept all hate mail, just so you know.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. So Anakin, what'd you guys think about Anakin in this one? Steve, let's start with you.
There were some. Okay, the casting I thought was fine. That being said, there were some acting choices that probably could have been reshot. Just certain scenes, certain aspects of his demeanor that I think, in editing, somebody should have said, you know what, let's go back and reshoot those. Because I don't think, and a lot of that falls, I think, just my opinion, falls on the director. I think a lot of bad scenes from an otherwise decent actor could have been pushed a little bit more by the director, and of course in this case, Mr. Lucas probably could have done a better job of directing Anakin in this movie, because I understand, after having gone back and watched it, I understand the demeanor he was trying to get. I understand what he was trying to write when he wrote Anakin the way he did. I just don't think they went about it the right way. There were just some scenes that were kind of cringeworthy. But that being said, I still think he did a better job than Lloyd.
All right. Nicole?
Well, Hayden Christensen, I like him. You know, as we know, he's coming back as Vader. I like Anakin. Anakin is, you know, he's growing up. We're seeing him in a new light, a more grown up light, but yet not to full maturity yet. And we're beginning to see that battle in him, which I personally like. I like seeing that battle that I mean, how many of us actually are every day battling something? You know what I mean? He's battling the dark, he's battling the light, he's battling his hormones, and we're seeing it all. And, you know, I personally like seeing all that character development with Anakin in the Attack of the Clones, because it really is showing us what he's going through, the good side, the bad side, and the ugly side, plus the hormonal side, you know? Mm-hmm. So I like it.
That's a good point.
Yes. And he really does. I mean, I say ugly side because of the Tusken Raiders and Shimmy. That part broke my heart, especially now after The Mandalorian. Now I'm just more like, well, shoot, I don't even know how to feel about it anymore. Because that part, I really did. I felt so sad. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I felt bad for Anakin as a character, because I'm like, oh my gosh, his mom is gone and he hasn't hardly seen her. And, you know, I mean, come on, gentlemen. I mean, if something happened to your mom, y'all are going to be like right there, like sad, and somebody hurt her, you're going to be a little angry, you know? So I liked Anakin in this one. I like his character development. And again, we got to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and the hormonal part of him.
Right. And I agree. And that's that I didn't really think about the hormonal part of it. So that's a very good point. One of the things that I was going to bring up, and I don't know if you guys had read the novelization for the Phantom Menace or not.
I did not.
But in the novelization, when he first meets Padme, and he says, are you an angel? And they left that in the actual movie.
Yeah.
There's more to it in the novelization. He actually tells her, I've seen it. I'm going to marry you. So, and I mean, he's a little kid, so probably Force vision or whatever. It's not really explained in the novelization, but they talk about, and he says, hey, you know what? I'm going to marry you one day. And she just kind of brushes him off, but he's seen it. And so when you get to this movie and it's been 10 years and he already knows she's the one, I'm going to marry her. I've already seen it. Everything I've seen has already come true anyway. So this is the deal. She just has to see it. And that's why he keeps pushing himself, out front. To me, his greatest scene was the Tusken Raider scene. I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
If we could have just gotten that reaction earlier on, just a snap, instead of the whiny little, you never let me do anything, and you're not my dad, kind of thing to Obi-Wan. If you would have just had him just like snap and just go off on him, and yell or something, instead of that whiny little drivel that you see as it builds up, and then it gets stronger and stronger, and then the Tuskens, he snaps, and then even later, he reverts back to it, during the fight scene with Dooku, and he's all full of himself, and instead of flipping that switch and getting angry or he slowly turns that way. Mm-hmm. And instead of it, if it's such a battle, it would be a on or off. It's either I'm towing the line of a Jedi, or bam, enough of this. I'm doing it my way. Just shut up and get out of my way. And then, bam, there's no leeway. And in the movie with Hayden's portrayal of it, and I'm sure it's not him because we saw that he can do it. I think it was just written that way, just kind of, it's supposed to be like a slow build, but it's really not. It's really not.
But and I have to go back to you because you're talking about the novelization, and he knew, based on the novelization that he knew that he was going to bury Padme and stuff. It makes you wonder again, back to what I was saying, is that was, Palpatine kind of in it all along? Was there an imprint and was something done very specifically? Because Anakin already knew, even if he was a Jedi, and you're not supposed to get romantically involved in the Jedi, he did anyways. And we wouldn't have this movie if he wasn't a total rebel and decide, hey, I'm gonna do it anyways. But it does make you wonder,
Well,
I kind of want to say George Lucas, like, did you do that on purpose? That would be my question to him. Did you already know that that's what was going to happen? So.
We see Palpatine pulling the strings more in Revenge of the Sith.
Right. Yes, but I feel like it's always started in little ways.
Oh yeah, even in Phantom Menace, when he pats little Anakin on the shoulder, and we're going to watch your career, and even in this one, he tells him, it's that Anakin's been telling him things and trusts him, and even at when they decide that hey, sorry to hear about the attack on the landing pad. We'll send somebody to investigate it. And Palpatine says, hey, why not Obi-Wan and Anakin? They just came back, they're available. And, and Mace kind of looks at him and like, well, how do you know that? And he's like, well, they did just come back from this mission. And, and he's like, so it's decided. And, so yeah, he's definitely has his hands in it, but, then you could even go off of the thing where, the speculation that Palpatine created Anakin to begin with a manipulation of the Force. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. So.
Agreed.
So, and that just, that kind of talks about the, the Sidious character that we have, that I had on the list. Which is great. That's fine. Because we really didn't see him much in this movie. Even Palpatine, the senator, we don't really see a whole lot of in here. But the next person that we see a lot of is Dooku. And I'll start us off on Dooku. After reading Dooku Jedi Lost, you get so much more backstory to it. But I always thought that Dooku was an interesting character because he's the first character that we've seen that's been a Jedi and has gone to the Sith. So he's already faced the challenge that Anakin's going to face. And, and so one, it's played by Christopher Lee. And how can you go wrong with that? Dude's got this crazy lightsaber that is absolutely amazing with the little curve to it. And he uses his words so expertly to, I was like, all right, yeah, I'd follow him, the way that he describes what they're doing and what their mission is and why he's helping the Trade Federation and, and leading the separatist movement. I'm like, oh, well, all right, well, maybe he's got a point. It's just credit to Christopher Lee in the acting, because I think he really pulled it off. And to see him, use the Force lightning, which you hadn't seen except for in Return of the Jedi. Ooh, hey, all right, now what do we got here? That's amazing. So yeah, I was excited for the character. I really liked it. And then when I read Kevin Scott's book, I was totally bought in, hook, line, and sinker. Steve, let's start with you. What do you think?
Oh boy, I haven't read Dooku Lost yet, so my opinion is not based on that book. I have a possibly a complete differing opinion about the character. Christopher Lee, God rest his soul. I'm going to warn you. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here.
Go for it.
He was handed a turd. I think that this character was a huge example of wasted potential. I think there is so much more they could have done with this character, especially with the actor they had playing this character, and they just fell flat. He could have been so good. He could have been this awesome, powerful, Jedi / Sith Lord that could go essentially go toe to toe with Yoda, and they turned him into a lapdog. And I felt like that character, even from the first time I watched this, I was like, why did they do that to Christopher Lee? I mean, you've got this character who, if you paid attention to, the whole background of him, he's this guy. He used to be a Jedi. He fell to the dark side, or even before that, he just decided not to be a Jedi Knight anymore. And then, he becomes this huge political figure that creates the separatist movement, where, of course, we know that it was Sidious that did it, but you just think this character is going to be a lot more powerful. He's going to portray a very powerful character, and I just think they really dropped the ball on him. What I think they should have done with Count Dooku, they should have introduced him in the first one on the council, and then when we see him in episode 2, gets a little bit more backstory about, this guy that was on the council that you saw before, he turned and or he fell by the fell away from the Jedi way, and now he's this this huge politician, and in the background he's this minion to the. I mean, that's what he felt like. He felt like a minion to me, not the cartoon character minion. Just felt like a lapdog. He was a huge waste of what they could have done with him, and it was even. We'll talk about this next week, but it was even worse in the next movie. It was just. I mean, even in the Clone Wars, you get a lot of Count Dooku, and you're like, man, what they could have done with him, and they didn't. So to me, the idea of the character Count Dooku, I liked. The actual writing of this character, not at all. But what he was given, Christopher Lee did an amazing job with. He just didn't have much to work with.
Nicole?
Yeah. Well, so I totally understand and respect exactly what your perspective is there, because I understand. You're right. They could have done so much more with the character. I think that's why later on when we got this by Kevin Scott, Dooku, I think we got what you are talking about. We got a lot more.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying there, because you're right. They really could have expanded more on Dooku and stuff, and with such a great actor. But of course, then I find my silver linings for Count Dooku. Of course, the fight scene with Yoda being one of them. I mean, I like it. So that's my favorite. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. They could have really expanded on him. You're right.
I will agree with you. The fight scene was great. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. The fight scene with Yoda was great. That was the only shining moment in the entire movie for this character.
Yeah.
The rest of it, he was just a schmuck.
Well, but isn't that the point?
One of the things that caught my attention, and I guess I hadn't ever noticed it before until this morning when I watched it again, was when they're in Palpatine's office and Padme says, I think it was Count Dooku, who's behind this. And he says, my lady, he was once a Jedi. He's not capable of assassinating anyone. And I'm like, dude, let me tell you something, but yeah, and I completely understand that, and maybe it's just Christopher Lee's performance that really stood out to me as far as what made him an intriguing character. Between that and probably the Kevin Scott book is I reading it because after seeing it and knowing Christopher Lee played him in the movie, when I read the book, all I hear is Christopher Lee's voice. Yeah, as I'm reading it. And I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, this is awesome. And then, of course, the Clone Wars as well. So, but yeah, I liked what we got. I wish we had gotten more. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think we're up to our likes and dislikes here. We talked about everybody on our character highlight sheet.
Awesome.
A lot of our likes and dislikes have been kind of discussed as we go along.
Yeah.
So let's do
one of each.
Yeah, sure. Go. Why don't you start, Nicole?
I'm gonna say dislikes is in perspective. I wish that the writing would have been a little bit stronger in the Attack of the Clones. I will admit that. I wish it was a little bit stronger because I actually do like a lot of the elements that happen. I really do like it. I just like here and there. And a like, well, I'm just going to say, you guys already know it. It's Yoda and Dooku, even beyond like any awkward love scenes and even the Shimmy and Tusken Raiders, like that grabbed my heart, but it's definitely my favorite's going to be that moment between Yoda, Dooku. What about you, gentlemen? Like dislikes?
I'll go ahead and start. My dislike, I'm pretty much on par with you on this one, Nicole. I wish the writing and the directing would have been better.
A little bit stronger.
Just kind of an overall dislike. From top to bottom, there's so much more they could have done with this movie, and it kind of fell flat in that respect. But what I did like, I liked the performance of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
Yes.
I think for me, he was the standout character in this movie. The performance and unlike many other characters, which we've already discussed, I think he was written better than the rest of them. I think we got a good glimpse into who he was as a person and where he. Of course, we get a lot more of his background in the Clone Wars, but we just get a little bit more of who he is as a person, and I think that's probably my number one favorite thing about the movie.
All right. For me, I'll start with dislikes because I don't like to end on a negative note. And I will say editing. The editing of the film just really seems off. Whether it's Padme waking up and immediately knowing where to go and what to do. Another issue with Padme is when the wardrobe malfunction, where it slices her and it kind of tatters and she's got blood, and then it flashes away and then it comes back and it's neatly cut, and there's no blood or anything, and more of her midriff is showing. I'm like, really? Yeah, I don't know. And some of the other editing parts just really didn't like. My favorite part would be sound. The sound engineering on this film was extraordinary. From the seismic charges to the different sounds of the insect type things on Geonosis and the droids and the starships, we really get a huge array of sounds from Coruscant and all the different planets that they're on. Everything is unique. I thought that was masterfully done.
Okay.
Yep.
Good stuff. So that was our Attack of the Clones retrospective. Next week we'll be doing Revenge of the Sith. And then our next segment that we've got is we're going to do our top 5 list, which, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be our top 5 Sith Lords. Before we jump into that, though, we do have our last music break. This is another band from Michigan called The Red Shift. And the song is from an album of theirs that's going to be released on, or no, actually it's already been released. It was released on the 1st of January. And the name of the album is Revolution or Bust. And the song is Iceman. So let's give this one a shot and see what it sounds like.
His life was a mess. Out of the darkness, he will be laid to rest. Started at 14, his first crisis became a murder bait. Cool start. He'll soon make his mark. Some say he's got no heart. Takes off his cyanide. There's nothing he can't hide. The devil by his side. Every time, son of heaven, keep a rule at 111. We got a new bearing on the advent. From the feather bearing on the advent. Kind of rock bearing on the advent. It's top bearing on the advent. Surfing with the Iceman!
If you mess with me, I'll hurt you.
All right. Iceman by the Red Shift. I can kind of hear the Detroit in them a little bit. Yeah. So good stuff. So here we are at the end of our last segment of the evening. This is our top 5 list. We are talking top 5 Sith Lords. And as always, I want to go over some of the audience participation selections first. Usually toward the end of last week, I send out the questions on Twitter and Facebook of what they think are their favorite Sith Lords, and we often get a lot of responses, and sometimes we get none, but we got a few this time. From Twitter, we got a response from Liberty Drew 84, and his favorite Sith Lords are Bane, Malgus, and Plagius. And the other response we got on Twitter was from Self-Isolating Josh, and his were Bane, Sidious, and Vectivius. Interesting one there. And then we got a few from the Facebook group that I post this question on. It's called the Outer Rim group. So Brad from over in the Outer Rim just gave us one, Darth Ravon. Chris was Ravon, Naga Sadao, and Marco Ragnos. And Christopher said his favorite Sith Lord was Sidious. So, if you're not familiar with this, Nicole, basically we just kind of do a round table one at a time. We start at 5 and then work our way down to the number 1. And then I think in the private chat you said you just have 3.
I do. I wasn't thinking as deep as some of them. I wasn't like including like anything in the games and stuff or in the books.
Yeah.
Like I was just like movies. I wasn't.
Okay.
I feel silly.
So let's do it this way. Let's you and I, Charlie, we'll do our 5 and 4, and then we'll let Nicole pick up with 3.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you go ahead and start us off with your number 5?
All right. I will start us off with Mr. Rule of 2, Darth Bane.
See.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good one. My concern is why he's so low on this list, but
You'll see.
Okay. I'm really interested to see what your other 4 are then. Wow. Yeah. My number 5 is probably obscure to a lot of fans, maybe, unless you've really been deep into the comic books, the Legends comic books, or EU as I still call it. My number 5 is Exar Kun.
Awesome.
Dark Lords of
Right.
the Sith War. The first time we ever get to see a double-bladed lightsaber, and he's pretty amazing. I really liked him, and he got into the whole alchemy aspect of it, and I really think that without him, we probably never would have seen the rebels on Yavin 4 in The New Hope.
Exactly.
We discovered that whole thing. So yeah, he's my number 5.
My number 4, Exar Kun.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
for all the reasons that you just mentioned.
Stole your thunder. Okay, my number 4 is Darth Ravon. We get some of his, a lot of stuff from KOTOR. As you're actually playing this character as he's been kind of reformed. But as you go in and read more of his backstory and just his whole history is it just makes him an amazing character, and why he is at my number 4.
Mm-hmm. All right. Number 3, Nicole.
Darth Maul. Number 3 is Darth Maul.
Okay.
Phantom Menace. We get a lot. We get a lot more of Darth Maul, I think, in Clone Wars. You know, we get a lot more character development with him, and you get to really see more of his backstory. He really is a pretty killer, Dark Lord, so to speak. Even if he loses the dark saber in the long run, but Darth Maul, number 3.
It's a good one.
All right.
Yeah.
My number 3, Darth Revan. He is the first character that I ever saw that was a Jedi and fell and became a Dark Lord of the Sith. Plus, he was in my favorite Star Wars video game. So,
and became a Jedi again. So, yeah, very interesting character. Very interesting.
Yes.
All right. My number 3 doesn't come from that video game, but he does come from the offshoot of that video game. And that would be Lord Vitiate, otherwise known as Tenebrae.
Oh, okay.
Who, in the game Star Wars: The Old Republic, the what do you call it? The MMORPG. He is the emperor that everybody refers to. And then at some point in one of the expansions, you finally get to see the guy. But it's not just the, his appearance in the games that puts him at number 3 for me. It's when you go back and read his backstory. And this guy is as old as he was around during the golden age of the Sith, when Naga Sadow and Ludo Crush had their big falling out, and Naga Sadow invaded the Republic, and all of that happened. This guy basically just disappeared, but he's been alive for eons, and then he shows up and creates a new Sith homeworld that we get in Knights of the Old or in Star Wars: The Old Republic. But not only that, he basically orchestrated or was pulling the strings to create Darth Revan and Darth Malgus. So he was almost as cunning in some ways as Sidious was. Almost. I would say almost. Also, I wanted to mention Greg piped in on the chat, and his top 3 are Maul, Bane, and Palpatine.
Ooh, okay. Very cool.
All right. That brings us to number 2, Nicole.
Okay. Some probably have this as their number 1, but for me, it's number 2. That is Palpatine / Sidious. He's the master puppeteer. And at Celebrate Chicago, when they started that trailer for The Rise of Skywalker and you heard his laugh, you knew it was game on. And I'm like, oh, of course. Of course it's Palpatine. Of course it's Sidious. It makes sense, as we talked about him a lot tonight through this, in the Attack of Clones and even Phantom Menace. That puppeteer, he had no strings on him, but man, it took a lot to get him all the way gone. And I pray that he's all the way gone. I see you. Like, no. I want you want the master of the puppeteer to be there, but some point Sidious has to go down. But he's my number 2. Although he is awesome. He's the ultimate puppeteer.
Yeah.
The Darth world.
All right, my number 2, Lord Vader.
Okay.
He was groomed for this position. Even if the rumors are correct and Palpatine did somehow influence the midichlorians to create a life, and that life ended up being Anakin. Or you could just take him from end of Phantom Menace, and he's what, 6? Somewhere around there. So he spent his life to become a Sith Lord, and he does it masterfully. It's absolute amazing character. Scared the mess out of me when I was a kid. Still does when I saw that scene in Rogue One, and he just forces his way through that corridor. And
I nearly wet myself when I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, yeah. So that's number 2, Lord Vader.
Okay. Number 2.
Number 2.
All right. It's down the wire. I got to do this. Okay. Well, strangely, Darth Vader did not show up on this list. He is one of my favorite characters. He is one of my favorite characters. As a Sith Lord, probably not so much. But if this was a top 10, he would have been in there. Okay. I got to make a decision. Which one of you is going to be 2 and which one's going to be 1? Okay, number 2 is Darth Bane. Darth Bane he's just amazing. He created the rule of 2. He, reading the Darth Bane novels by Drew. I'm not even going to try to butcher his last name. It was just such a well-written character. This guy that's like, he's basically just a miner on this backwoods world, and then gets to the point where he basically creates the modern Sith Order. So I loved this character, and I like the idea that even though it's a kind of a small way, I think it was in the Clone Wars, they did make him canon. So that opens up more stories about him that we could see in the future. And I'm really excited about that. But yeah, that one's number 2. So that brings
Your number 1 going to be interesting.
All right. Who do you have for number 1, Nicole?
Oh, you already know this. This is my icon. This is when I think Star Wars, who I think of. And that is your number 2. It's Vader. I absolutely love Darth Vader. Hallway scenes. When I think of Star Wars, I think of him. I think of that march. I can hear it. Yes, I love Vader. And not just in the movies, but also in the comics. We have Castle. I know. And there are some really deep emotional scenes even after the movies that are not in the movies that are in the comics that just like really pull at my heart. And for those reasons, it's Darth Vader all the way. I think Star Wars, you think of the icon. After George Lucas, but
right.
Yeah.
If we were doing a top 5 all-time Star Wars characters, he would definitely be in my top 5.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Now, before
Although
you,
Grogu might fight now at this point.
so
I'm not picking between them because that's not happening.
Well, Charlie, before you give me your number 1, I will say that I can, with 99.99999% certainty, that your number 1 and my number 1 are the same.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear this.
Probably so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, would
is
probably
it
be
Darth Jar Jar? Just can I have a guess? Is it Darth Jar Jar?
That's horrible.
I wish.
Sorry.
I wish. If they would have done that.
This.
I'm sorry. I had to. I'm sorry.
this character would also be in my top 5 list of all-time characters. So I'll go ahead and let you say it, Charlie.
All right. So, well, this character is my ultimate character of characters. He is Mr. Star Wars. He is the originator of the originators. He is Sheev Palpatine, otherwise known as Lord Sidious.
My number 2.
The strings that this guy pulls, the way that he influences everything, the way he completely hoodwinked the entire Jedi Order. Absolutely amazing. And then when you think that he's fallen down a reactor shaft and is blown up,
we see nobody. It's not real.
he makes a dynamic and important return to carry on his legacy. And I'm sure he's gone now. But the office of the former emperor shall remain open.
I think he's going to come back.
Should I grab next?
So yes, that's my number one and my number one character of all Star Wars, my all-time favorite character. As soon as I saw him in Empire Strikes Back, I wanted to know who he was and why he's in charge, and absolutely fell in love with the character in Return of the Jedi, and to see his origin story, because yes, the prequels were about Anakin, they were also about Palpatine,
just as much about Palpatine.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
So as I suspected, your number one and my number one were the same. Amazing character. We talked a lot about him last week during our Phantom Menace, and just what a genius he was, and a very patient genius. Yes. Took him years and years to take over the entire galaxy. 2,000 years in the making. He is the one that restores the Sith Empire, essentially. Just amazing character, and I gotta say, the scene or the trailer from Celebration Chicago. We get to see him come out on stage, and that was just amazing. And then you got goosebumps, and the highlight of my Chicago celebration, or at least one of the highlights, was that I got to do a photo op with Ian McDermott, and that was. And what's funny is that I had that booked a few months prior to going, not having known that he was going to be in Rise of Skywalker. So as soon as that happened, all of the bookings were sold out. He was completely booked for the entire weekend. And I was glad to have booked that ahead of time. But yeah, I still have that picture somewhere. Probably have to put it on a wall and frame it or something. But yeah. It was just amazing, and you walk up there and do the photo. I've never really done one of these. This was Celebration Chicago was actually my first con, so I'd never really done any of this type of stuff. But you walk into that little photo room, and I go to stand next to him, and then he grabs me, and I'm like, whoa, he touched me. What? But yeah, he puts his arm around me, and we take the picture, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was just amazing.
Now we know the truth. You've been touched by the dark side.
Yes. But yeah, I got to meet the Emperor, and that was just amazing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Palpatine was definitely my favorite Sith Lord. And I don't think he's gone. All right, folks. Well, that wraps up episode number 34 of Rogue One Radio. Nicole, it was very fun having you on the show with us. I hope you come back sometime.
Absolutely.
Thank everybody that came into the chat room and engaged with us. That was great. And hopefully everybody will be back next week when we do our discussion about Revenge of the Sith. And we'll have more news and more music and everything else. And I'm not sure who our guest is next week. Do we already have that lined up, Charlie?
I think so, but before we announce, let's just make sure that he is willing to come in and he's not otherwise engaged. So I think we have it nailed down, but we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll announce that on Twitter later in the week. But in any case, you have any final parting words, Nicole or Charlie?
I just want to say thank you guys so very much for having me on your show. It's been a delight. You know, Charlie and I have done shows before, but it's really good to also to get to know you, Steve, here on your show. So thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Come back anytime.
Will do.
Yeah. Again, thanks, Nicole. I'm sure we'll chat on the Discord server and get ready for some more WandaVision this week. I'm excited for next week as well. But hopefully everyone has a great rest of their week, and may the Force be with you.
Absolutely. Have a great night.